Hello everybody, welcome to my May flip through of 2025. Can you believe that we are now 6 months into 2025? I cannot, and I feel like time has moved very strangely, but this was an exciting month and lots happened in it for me, so I'm excited to walk you through these pages, but also a few of them are not finished. And I thought if I wait until I finish all the pages, it's not going to happen and I'm not going to make this video. So I thought I may as well start now. And you can see some of the pages in various forms of unfinished, and there's one that's blank. Ugh, can you believe it? And I'll show you, I'll show you some of the creative ways that I've been exploring filling the pages without masses of writing and masses of things to account for the individual days that happen on the page in this dated book. So if that's helpful, then keep watching. But I thought I'd start with May and show you all the way up to the June cover page, because I have finished that one. And I've been enjoying adding these little bits of text. I think I showed you a bit of this page last month, but I can't remember how finished it was. But May was equipped with a pen. I did buy a film camera and I did have a renewed sense of courage. So in a lot of ways, May is over now. I do feel like May, the door of May has kind of hit me on the way out. That's what I feel like. I do feel a bit like May has produced loads of things for me to now do, and I'm in a bit of a stressful start to the month, but some of it's good stressful, so it's all fine. And part of that is finishing pages and accounting for memories, because I'm super scared always of losing the things that I do, which is why I log everything and have done for years. And I'm sure that's common in the stationery world, is you don't know really what you're doing when you're doing it, but you are cataloguing memories and accounting for the days in the hopes that if they don't stick around in your head, then they stick around on paper as an external memory keeper. So too much info probably, but we started this month with some flowers, and you'll see why I included flowers on this page, as well as it just being a great spring theme, and a swan, which is one of Bronte's swans. I'll put Bronte's shop in the description, because you'll probably see a Bronte sticker on every single page that I do. Used some of Megan Rhiannon's stickers. I used a calendar sticker from Ars Studio because I knew I had events coming up, so I thought it was a nice hint to the events. And I have this piece of paper from, it's a clipping from I think the New Yorker, which was kindly gifted to me by Lily in New York. So thank you, Lily, if you're watching this. And that was in a letter, and the letter was lovely. But I love that now I can look at this page and it reminds me of all these cool people and kind of our friendships. So that's nice. And I have this tea card from Jenny as well. This feels like a real collaboration of all the mail and exciting things that I got recently, but it's lovely. Jenny saw this and thought of me, and I thought that was really lovely, so thank you, Jenny. And this Traveller's Notebook sticker I've been waiting to use for the whole 5 months of the year, and I finally decided to use it. So yeah. That is the first page. And you'll notice I have some coverings up on some of the pages. Don't worry about it. They come off in the end. They're just for covering up information, because I took a different approach to my pages this month and allowed myself to cover up bits when I was doing Instagram posts, which I try to confine all my personal stuff that's too personal to specific pages that I don't show on the internet, but also kind of leaked this month, and I didn't have as many pages as I expected, so yeah, that's what I'll say about that. That's the only way Instagram has impacted the way I use my book, I think, is just what goes on what page. I'm a bit different about organising things, which is why it weaves. We've got May 6th over here and May 12th over here, and it kind of weaves in and out. And that really fits the theme of time on this page, because I typed up this part about time, because I do feel like time has been moving strangely for me and I don't know what to do about it. But apparently the thing is right about it. And I don't think I really encapsulated all that I was feeling about time, because how do you? And that's the one thing I have to be careful about when I'm doing a journal page with big philosophical topics, is the knowledge that one block of text isn't going to encapsulate everything, or you might have articulated it slightly differently than your actual, what you reflect from your head, if that makes sense. Do you guys ever have it where you write down a thought you have and you're like, I've done that thought no justice to the page? That's how I feel often, but so there's that. But who knows if I would read it back whether it would actually resonate with me anymore. I do not know, so I do not care to read it back. Sorry, I bonked you. There we go. But also I've been using this book in a more ephemeral way, or a more fleetingly joyful way, I feel like, which goes with my desire at the minute to make my book look like a ship's log. And part of that is recording data and things that are important to me in a fleeting way but might not be that important to me in the future. So I have a pen test here, which is pretty ordinary standard journal things, but a lot of the time I would stop myself from writing stuff like this because it felt too fleeting and not important for whichever version of me was referencing this book back. But also, who am I to say what would be important? I have a feeling if I ever did look at these journals back, it would be the small data and the brick by brick working of life that would make the book more important to me. So I shouldn't be censoring things that I want to write that are a bit fleeting. And you'll see as I go along, I get a bit better at that. I think I've logged all of my Instagram folders and I'll show you that page. But yeah. And here we have a very chaotic page, but it began with just this red cardinal from, I was thinking about Walmart's Christmas decorations for some reason. The brand in America that has Christmas decorations that had accidentally gay cardinals on one of their Christmas decorations. And it was kind of adopted by the community and everyone was going after this decoration. And it was quite evident that whoever worked at Target didn't really know the anatomy of different, I suppose, genders of cardinal, but it was kind of funny to me. So, not genders, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. And that also corresponded with my watching of the real conclave and the film conclave, because why not? And cardinals, there's a lot of cardinals in that, so as is normal in a conclave. And I had this tiny Art Studio seal, wax seal sticker that I thought was pertinent to the topics as well. You can see where I'm going with this. I kind of built it up brick by brick to become one big conclave page, but I was also listening to Sun Bleached Flies. That was my song of the week that I feel like it was on repeat, and I have these songs that I listen to and listen to and listen to, and then I haven't really revisited it yet because it feels important to that moment in time, and it was such a snapshot. I suppose this is my version of this month's chaos page because it was just chuck everything down. More lyrics to Ethel Cain's Sun Bleached Flies. I don't even know if I said it was an Ethel Cain song, but that should give you a clue as to kind of the themes and what was going on there. And then my mum found her old Bible, and I had loads of Bible ephemera as a result. She had all these little bookmarks in there. And I thought this one was nice with the lockets. And I think they're white roses. But I thought the imagery was interesting. And I kind of think it's funny that, I don't know, I'm quite far detached from that kind of imagery, but yeah, it was important. My mum didn't seem to remember that it was important to her, really, so I got all the little bookmarks out of this Bible. And some tape from Alex, of Alex Thomas Creative, who I've been pen paling with, and they sealed one of the envelopes with this, and I thought it matched the colour of this perfectly and the kind of floral element of it, so I used it on this page. So we've got red and black, and then we've got a pocket of blue, and I really like that kind of colour isolation. I might try that later on at some point. I'm also using brass book darts they're called. I'm using book darts, which are pretty standard in the community, but I thought I'd recommend them just in case. And then one of my favourite stamps had a birthday, of course, so we're on to birthdays. Birthdays of stamps, which is something I care about apparently. But I was really into the hobby philately, which is like the study of postage stamps and the collection of postage stamps, starting in 2019, I think. And it was a big interest for me and kind of overran my life for a little while. But I still wanted to nod to that hobby and the stamp that began it all, because it was the original postage stamp, the penny black, and it was part of the Roland Hills penny postage system. So it felt important to acknowledge that, and I always feel better when I acknowledge an occasion in my notebook. I don't know if other people are the same, but I feel like an occasion is so wasted when I do no page for it, or no, I don't even acknowledge that it's past, if that makes sense. So yes, it was the birthday of one of the most important postage stamps, and I have some penny reds, but I don't have an actual penny black, so it just had to suffice that there were penny blacks on postage stamps, if that makes sense. Yes, postage stamp inception. A bit like how I like stickers of journals, I like stamps of stamps. So I can put a journal in a journal and a stamp on a stamp. Excellent. But yes, I've stopped talking about them now. I was also reading The Idler, which I had mixed opinions about, and I'm still trying to read it because there were a few articles in the May to June one that kind of put me off. And I don't know whether it's like that every month, but some of the articles, and I'm usually not that critical. I am critical, but I'm not overly slating of a person's work, if you know what I mean. If someone's put in work, I can recognise at least that they put in work, but true to the title of this, I feel like a lot of the essays were poorly structured and poorly researched. Maybe that's not the point. Maybe I should just be looking at the title and being like, that it's all part of the same thing. Maybe it's satirical and I've missed it, but some of the articles were good and good reflective pieces and sentimental value and all that, but some of them were just complaint, and I couldn't do with that. Or someone making a really daft assumption and not backing it up with any evidence, and I was like, what are you doing? And then moved on to something else entirely. I was like, what are you doing? But no one asked for that review of The Idler, but that's my opinions. I thought I was going to really enjoy reading this artsy thing, and I didn't have the best time. And I now haven't finished it as a result. So, oops. And from a few pages ago, when I went out with my friend, I saw, well, she clued me in that down the road there were some cameras in the charity shop. And I've been looking at cameras, and specifically Pentax zoom cameras, and I'd been looking at one that was about 40 quid, for this vintage camera. And then I walked down the road later after she clued me in about them, and I found this. It's a Pentax Zoom, and this cost me £8. But I love it. I've since tested it. It's currently got a roll of Kodak Gold in it, and that's what I started with. And I had a brief interlude in the middle with a different film, which I'll show you. I've got the sticker from that film later on. But that's the hobby I've picked up this month, and I'm not the best at it, but that's not the point, especially at this stage. And I did get my first roll developed. I'll show you some of those at some point. I think I did on Instagram, but they were nice enough. And some of them, they get you to look at things in a different way than if it was just a picture on your phone. You look at them and you think, yeah, that's important. And the first roll I took was of the house and the garden, and I kind of confined it to that space so that I could appreciate all the little mundane things in a different way, and it definitely made me do that, so that was exciting. But yes, developed, and it's all nice now, so that's really nice. Some of the photos were blurry, but I think it's partly learning what the camera can focus on when you're doing it, because it is just a point and shoot, but it does have loads of different settings than a regular point and shoot, which is why I was researching them in the first place. That's it on. It zooms in like 70mm. So yes. And it tells you a bit about what's going on, and you can control flash and all of that. There are different modes, but I haven't really experimented yet. So there we go. It's going to take me a while to experiment with it, but I'm having fun, so that's the main thing. And I can show you this one. I had a lot of fun making this, and a lot of what I'm documenting this month is just, especially at the start of the month, was hobbies and pen pal things. So that's, and my room, because I'd started writing in my desk, on my desk in my room, which is never where I am for journaling. This is not the desk in my bedroom, but I know if I journal up there I will not go to sleep, and I feel like those spaces of work should be separate. But I figured out that I can separate my journaling from my letter writing, and now I write letters upstairs. And I got some nice candles this month, and it's been just a really nice time to write up there and have that purpose be in that room now, if that makes sense. I keep saying if that makes sense. It always makes sense, it's fine. But that's what I thought was important this month, especially at the start of this month before things got crazy. I was kind of cataloguing all the nice things about the month before everything got busy. And here we go. Some more pages about online stuff, which I didn't expect to continue the theme into this month, but that's exactly what's happened. Here are some of my stickers here that I've overlaid as kind of error messages, you know, on an old computer when you would get multiple error messages in one go. That's what I've tried to recreate, and I'm talking about the internet and what the internet means. And I found this little James Acaster. I'll zoom in. I won't read it because I don't think Mr. YouTube would approve of me reading it, but that's the quote. And I also thought it would be funny to log my folders, like a ship's log. I thought I'd log the folders I have saved on my Instagram. So that's what I did. You'll notice that a lot of them are for things that are funny, and that's what I've realised I reference a lot on Instagram when I'm saving things. And I'll be interested to know how you guys go about saving things on Instagram. Do you just save everything and not catalogue it, and then try and sift through if you need something for reference, or do you never look at your bookmarked things on Instagram, but a while ago I started trying to catalogue them, probably in lockdown because it's a very lockdown activity, but now I have kind of distinct folders that I put things into, and a lot of them are for funny things, and that was interesting to note that that's my primary use of the saved folders, and what I refer back to on Instagram the most is things that are funny. So I have 3 evolutions of the funny folder that I just go back to and look at. My parents think I'm mental for that, but it's fine. I have kind of a sad folder as well, or like for nostalgia. And then I have a folder for things that are kind of, I tend to use the internet in a very aspirational way, I've found. And I'm sure that's common, is you find a bit of inspiration, whether it's like an outfit or a journal page, and you save it to inspirational folders. But I've covered them up because they're like my more personal folders, I think. And that's interesting to me that I do have versions of folders that are very personal to me. That was an interesting use of the internet, I've discovered. And all my media. And this is the start of the unfinished and memory pages, but I went to 3 concerts this month, all in the space of like a week. Yeah, literally a week. That is mental. But 3 concerts, and I was mostly an accompaniment, and I don't think that, well, I shan't say whether I'd see them again. That's a bit mean. I have seen Bruce Springsteen 4 times now in the last 3 years, so I shan't make a note on that. But I saw Bryan Adams. It was an experience. I'm not desperate to repeat it, but it was an experience and I had a good time, so that's all that matters. And I shouldn't have to repeat things. But yes, it was interesting. And then I went to Bruce, and the atmosphere was entirely different, and it was just completely different. And you'll see that I print out pictures of the merch that I get every year. That became a bit of a tradition, either last year or the year before, and I decided to carry it on because I think it's nice to see the t-shirts that I get. And I'm currently wearing one, so I do wear them. But I also got a picture of the screen with Lil Stevie from E Street Band, because I always look for Lil Stevie. And there was also some lyrics changes in one of the songs, Rainmaker. This was kind of his angry tour, the politically angry tour, which was great. That was the spirit of this year that we needed. But one of the songs had a changed lyric that is very fitting of the times, so I typed it down, and I didn't even know that that was a lyric that had changed from the original song, if that makes sense. But yes, God, my brain is soup today, I apologise, but also if I don't film this, I'm never gonna film it, so I hope you don't mind. I hope you're doing something. You always told me that you're journaling while you watch it, and I think that's the best use of your time. But I noticed a changed lyric, and didn't notice really that it wasn't in the first song, because I'd never heard the song before, but I picked it out as an important lyric, and then it didn't exist anywhere on the internet, and I was like, oh. I'm sorry if you hear a bee as well. I tried to let him out before I started this and he wouldn't go, so now he's just buzzing around. And I will let him out eventually, but not just now. He's had a renewed sense of energy, which is great if you're filming a video. Hopefully he's not too loud. And I started these pages and didn't finish them in the end, but I feel like it's important to go through this one because, and if you see this on Instagram and you saw it here first, no you didn't. You didn't see any of this. I need you to pretend you've not seen it so that when you see it on Instagram it's a surprise. But I'm sure a lot of you aren't relying on surprise when you look at things online anyway, but oh well. I used a lot of Bronte stickers and tape. The bee is in my ear. Shush. He's gone. No, he's back. For God's sake. I used a lot of Bronte washi and Bronte stickers in this page, and a few of my fish stickers. And Angie, who I saw at the Miso paper pop-up this month, spoilers, saw this fish tape and thought of the people in the journaling group that like fish. I thought that was so sweet, and Angie let me take some up and roll it round a little, I had a Polaroid at the time, so I rolled the tape round the Polaroid and I have a little sample of it now, which is lovely. So yes. And this is the film that I got, that's the experimental film. It's pre-exposed, so it's got lines, little red lines on it. And I can't wait to see the results of it. I shot the whole thing at one of my events, and I'll show you the results of it when I get them, which might be some time. And another blank page, which is a little bit depressing, but my plan is to do part 5 of my notes for the Notebook, A History of Thinking on Paper by Roland Allen, because I read it during my trip to London. So, noted. And another unfinished page, and I hope that you will also not mind seeing this on Instagram at a later point if I run out of pages to show. But I really liked how I used this page. I was looking at Helen's pages of the Coffee Monster Co. And for her London trip, she'd split the page up so that she could have a flap that said what the trip was. And then she could write on kind of the Dutch door piece of the page, if that makes sense, to chop up a page a little bit. And I thought that was a good use of space for a book and a set of pages where I didn't have much to say, or I was already panicking by this point because these were all blank by the time I went on my London weekend trip, and I came back and I was like, I need to do something with this, otherwise I'll never use it. But I've used a lot more Bronte stickers as well from my Bronte order this month. And I got this from a pen pal. Hello pen pal. I don't know if you want me to say your name, if that's because I never want to invade the privacy of a pen pal, but this is from a lovely pen pal and I really appreciate it. It reminds me of people. It's nice to have supplies in your notebook that remind you of people. But this is also the textured paper that I got at the Miso paper event, which I'll talk you through in a second. But I've been retroactively decorating these pages, so it's nice to have a bit of texture. It's a really nice texture. It's like seeded paper almost. It's got fibres in it, that's what I mean. And a meme. Silence, perspective granted through patient reflection. A fresh wound is talking. I still need to watch the film with the Baldwin King in it, so if it's good, I'll watch it. But I was also reflecting on a film that I have watched and was a big part of my childhood as well. Not childhood, teenagehood. And I lost a thought. This is devastating to me, but I lost a thought whilst I had a shower thought that was really good. It's like the only time I think clearly, and I lost it and it's gone forever and I'm very sad. So I had to write about the loss of this thought, and for some reason the loss of this thought was longer than the thought itself. But I shall forever grieve that thought that I don't remember. It was such a good thought. I remember being like, whoa, I have to write this down, and then I forgot. It left my head too soon. And this is where the London weekend begins. because on the Saturday the 24th I was at Chelsea with some family. And Chelsea's an interesting place. I'd never been to Chelsea Flower Show before, but I expected a lot of the gardens, I expected the gardens to be less confined and more imposing on the space, if that makes sense. I was expecting the gardens to be commanding in some way, and they are when you watch them on the telly. I don't know whether it's because they film it at the height of a person or slightly below the height of a person, but the gardens look huge when you see them online. And then I got there and the gardens were not huge. They were behind a rope as well. You can't see the gardens, which is another thing I didn't realise. But that's not to say I didn't have a really good day. I took the whole roll of film, pretty much. Almost every picture I used up here that I had. And I can't wait to see the results of that film. But I found a leaflet. I think it was my auntie who found this leaflet and I stuck it in. It was a day of ephemera, and I also found some postcards. I don't know if I've got one. I found this set of like archival print postcards that were really lovely. I think they're from an old textbook or something. And I stamped them up at the Miso paper event to give to pen pals and people that I wrote mail to, which was a nice thing. That was always the goal, to find postcards at this event and then stamp them at the Miso paper event. And that happened, thank goodness. But the flowers are gorgeous, and I feel the redeeming qualities of the Chelsea Flower Show, for all it is busy and expensive, are seeing the flowers up close and seeing the different patterns of nature on a small scale and then a large scale, and looking at the gardens from afar and seeing the texture of them as a whole, but also then the texture of the individual plants. It was just really interesting, and I don't feel the pressing need to go every year again, but it's nice that we went and I got to spend the day with some family that I don't usually see, so that was nice. And the Miso paper event. The event that was very visited by the UK and abroad crowd of stationery people. And I had a great time. I really did. There were some things that I thought I must have not understood when I was at the event, like the pressure to put the stamp on the page. I've kind of ruined a traveller's notebook insert by being too heavy-handed with the stamps. And my postcards were funny in the end because some of them I was heavy-handed, but also then I stamped them all up and then I smushed them back together, and then the ink had not dried, so I had a load of postcards with dry, like, speckled ink everywhere that was smudgy, and I think I got a fingerprint in one of them, which I didn't send to anyone because I was like, that's a fingerprint. But it was an interesting time to learn all those things, because you see stamp rallies. I've never been to a stamp rally before, so that was exciting. It was such a good day in the end. I met up with my friend Angie and her friend Shaz. And Shaz wrote her letter to Ange in my book. So I've got a letter to Ange, and I think Ange has one to me. I could be wrong, but I think I was like, just carry on. Write my letter in Ange's book now. And that was nice. I learned a new word out of it, so excellent. But it was just a lovely day. These were the free stickers that came in the tin. Here is my tin. It's a very nice tin. You get that free upon entry. But another thing I didn't understand until I left the event was that there was a tiny coin in the tin, and it was, in the end, excuse me, it was a gachapon coin. So I could have used it in the machine, because I remember being in the cafe and being like, haha, well, I don't have a coin on me, so I can't use the gachapon machine. And it turns out you didn't need like a physical coin, a monetary value coin. You could just use the coin from the tin, but I don't think I'd investigated the tin enough by that point to understand what was going on. But there were just little things that I feel like I missed. And my one regret is probably that I didn't do a workshop, because I have a feeling that would have been really nice to have met one of the creators that was doing a workshop, and that would have been a nice thing to do, because after you've done kind of your shopping and your stamping, there's not much to do, which is fine because I didn't want the event to last all day anyway, and I had a great time while I was there, so it was best to quit ahead by that point. And I have my little card from the lanyard, which I didn't really think to use at the time. I wasn't really meeting people. I had nice conversations with people in the queues and stuff, but other than that, I didn't meet up with anyone that wasn't Angie or Shaz. So it was a close-knit affair, and it was nice. It was really nice to spend time with them. And I'm going to put this eventually here. That's where that's going to go. But yes, it was a lovely last event in London. I went on the Sunday, despite what these show, because I needed a double page for both of them. So Saturday, Sunday. And I did my stamping, and I can show you the stamping. I also didn't realise the stamps bleed through the paper, so here are the stamps that I got in my book. But this was also a great idea by Angie, is that you can take sticker paper with you and just stamp on the sticker paper, and then by the end you have stickers. Isn't that such a good idea? And I never thought of it, but Angie had some spare sticker paper, so that proved very useful in the end. I have some nice, and I'll show you the, sorry, my brain's all over. I'm like, and we're doing this, and then we're gonna see this, and I'm gonna show you this. But I got, among other things, I did get 2 little leather tags that are very lovely. But I've since destroyed my leather notebook cover. I hope that focused, because I just whipped them away. But my leather cover has been a bit ruined because I stuck stickers on the front of it, and then I ripped the stickers off, and with it I've ripped the die off the cover of my leather notebook A5 cover. And I think my plan is to maybe get a new one. So if any of you have opinions about where to buy a leather A5 cover, that was supposed to be a cover that I used throughout the year, and now I can't really, or I can, and the plan is to maybe patch it up. But if you have recommendations of A5 leather custom covers that I could research, please let me know, because I will research them. And probably not buy anything and just suck it up and make a patch to go on the front of the cover of my notebook and just call it a day. But that was a bit sad, because now I have these and I don't know how to attach it to a Hobonichi cover. So I suppose that's the more important question, is how would you attach these to the cover of a Hobonichi cover? If that makes sense. So yes. And here I want to do some more London reflections, but I have not got around to it yet. And I feel this page is waving over me every time I make a new page. I'm like, but this page is to finish. And that's not nice, but I will get round to it and it will look nice. But I also started on this page. This is going to be like a joy page. Again, I have some nice memories in my head that I'm scared I'll lose if I don't write them down soon, but then I'm trying to lay out the pages before I do that. And this had a nice memory as well already is my sister unboxed some Smeeskies and sent me a video of her unboxing them. So that's exciting. And here is the fated blank page of May, which I'm upset about, but it's fine. We'll get over it. And I'll fill it with something. And that's my other tip, along with chopping pages and making a Dutch door on pages that you know you can't fill the whole thing of. I also recommend just sticking in random ephemera that you've got onto a page and calling it a day. And I've got, my sister went to a Wes Anderson exhibition in Paris and brought me back a postcard, which is now on my wall, but the bag that the postcard came in also had a sticker from the exhibition. So I thought, even though I haven't been to it, it's nice to have that as a memory from her trip. I'm now collecting other people's memories as well, and I quite like that. And then this was from the beer that I had, the label of the beer that I had when I first came back from my London trip. That was one of the first things I did. And then a sticker from the company that I bought film from. I bought film and had my scans developed, my film developed into scans rather, at Analog Wonderland, which is really nice. And I got a free sticker in that, so I stuck it in here. He didn't really fit on any other page, so. And then the Royal Shakespeare Company from last month, which is where I went and saw a play at. I feel like my sentences are getting more clipped as I try and do this. But we're at the end, and now we're into June, so it's all good. I wrote down the lyrics of, this is very show and tell, I'm really sorry. Next month I will try and be a bit less like, and then I did this, and then this happened, but my brain's not working today. But I got some lyrics from Road to Nowhere by Talking Heads, because that was in my head this month, the month of May even, so it's kind of encapsulates May rather than June, but the lyrics are very much what I expect of May as well, of June as well as May, so God, we'll get to the end of this. This is the last page. If you want to dip before I get to the end, that's okay. But I had some pictures that I printed and have got a double image of, and that was nice to have kind of the repetitions of the lyrics, the Talking Head lyrics, and then the repetitions of the pictures and the mirroring of different elements on the page. So these are mirrored, these are mirrored. Lots of buttons. I used one of Bronte's collage sheets here, which was a great way to add colour to the page and stick with a colour theme. They were very orange and they fit the theme of the photo. I wanted a very warm toned June page, and this came together quite nicely, so it's a bit less finicky. I feel like my other pages are more sporadic and fiddly, lots of different elements, whereas this felt quite cohesive at the time, I think. So that was nice. That is it. That is all we have. Thank you for suffering through this video. If you made it to the end, then great. But I thought I'd get on with this and move on from all of this chaos. And it does represent how I feel about the month of May now, so in that way it feels important and it does its job, so excellent news for me. Please tell me all about, I love hearing your comments and reading them and interacting with you, so please let me know what's been going on in your month, if you've had any cool journal themes. I asked that question on Instagram recently. Do you have any cool journal themes that are recurring? And maybe at different times of the year. Are you journaling about the seasons? Are you journaling about an animal? I think fish are quite a prevalent theme for me. And I have my own personal reasons for that. Maybe I'll make a video about the themes that I have in my journal and why. I shall stop rambling, but please talk to me in the comments, because that's like my favourite thing about making these, is you guys talking to me about it. So I hope this was all right and kept you company while you were journaling. Thank you. Bye.